Good morning, YouTube. What I have here is finally my finished Field Marshal DL-44 Star Wars New Hope kit. This is obviously the hero version, not the Greedo Killer. So I had made a video several months ago showing off sort of the out-of-the-box version of this. So Field Marshal has up for sale virtually every version of a DL-44 you could possibly find from the original trilogy. It's Han's DL-44s, Luke's DL-44s, everything. So I had decided to go for Han's ANH Hero because to me it's the most iconic version. So out of the box with the standard kit, the one that I got, you get mostly steel parts, but then the flash suppressor is aluminum. The front grills are actually 3D printed. So there are a few things that I ended up upgrading to along the way just because I could. And, you know, why not? When you're going that far with a prop, you do the best you can with it. So, as I said, I upgrade some of the parts. This is the Field Marshal steel flash suppressor, and also the sight greeblies and the front grille. Those are the Dark Energy Creation diecast kit parts. I figured, why not add a little weight to it, because I want it to be as heavy as humanly possible. Another upgrade I made to it was, I can't remember, the bolts here. So this is actually a Field Marshal bolt, and you just replace the Denix one, and it actually comes stamped with the crown U. So that's pretty cool that it has the correct stamping on there. And you know, it replaces the stock Denix one, which the knurling on it isn't awesome. It doesn't have any of the stamping. I want to say it's just aluminum, whereas this one I think is steel. So it's just a little bit of a higher quality version. It looks better and adds that weight to it. For the sidebar here, the support for the scope, I used Scott J-Way's kit. I shouldn't say I used, excuse me. My builder, Haloax, he used Scott J-Way's kit for the marking, for the wear here. So it's kind of tough to tell with this lighting, but you also have a damage on the knurled discs here, and those are all blued too. So the first step when I got this was that Haloax had to kind of pull it apart and figure out what needed to be blued, how it was going to be blued, because originally the parts that were aluminum, you can't blue those, which is another reason why I upgraded the flash suppressor, so that way that could be blued. So he pulled it apart and started bluing everything. He was having a hell of a time with the scope. For some reason, that just would not take the bluing. Everything else was fine, but that one part wouldn't. So we ended up shipping that out and having that blued elsewhere. But, you know, it ended up matching everything really well. Came out beautifully. So that was blued. The support rods here, those are blued. Like I said, these discs here, that hold it in place, those are all blued. Flash suppressor. He also filled in a few of the bumps and imperfections in the Denix. One of the things with the Field Marshal kit is that he has accurized it so that way it has the proper things kind of like cut in there or removed. Not like a stock Denix, which really isn't all that hot. But this is also built off of the new version of the Denix, so it no longer has the Denix diamond here. But instead you have copyright information along the bottom here. So Haloax actually filled that all in, sanded it all down, so you never know it was there. And there are just, you know, little spots throughout, maybe where the metal had been cast. You had some remnants of pouring spouts. So that was all filled in. He painted it flat black, I guess, yeah, flat black. Because the original prop was spray painted. or this bottom section was. And then instead of painting it the same color, we decided that we wanted to have the grill and the sight greeblies to have sort of that plasticky look, since they're both originally model kit parts. So we used sort of like a semi-gloss satin instead. So it just helps to differentiate it from everything else. But that little kit from Dark Energy Creations is really cool and adds some nice detail to it. And don't get me wrong, the stock 3D printed grill was good. It fit right on. It was a really good print, but I needed the greeblies anyway, so I figured it might as well go big, like everything else. Another small upgrade that I made to it was the sight that comes with the kit doesn't actually have the sight graphic. So I purchased separately a sight that did have the graphic. I don't know, maybe you can kind of see it in there. But that's also from Field Marshal. So that's nothing crazy. It's easy enough to get, cheap enough. Oh, and also part of the JOA stencil kit is this disc here, the mystery disc. So for anybody who's not really familiar with that, during pre-production, there was a little greebly glued onto that. I think it's the same greebly that you see on the hats of the Imperial Navy officers. So it was glued on here, but it ended up falling off, and it had actually eaten away at the finish of the original gun. So they just left it. Typical Star Wars. Doesn't have to look awesome, just has to look used. So that disc, it was just left there, and so to replicate that, Scott JOA included in his stencil kit the stencil for that. And the kit came with wooden grips, and we just had to finish them. So one of the things that we did when finishing the grips was try to concentrate some of the stain closer to the front of the grips, so it kind of mimicked the way you would hold it and where your fingers might be and where the natural oils of your hands might leave traces on the wood. And you can turn the sight knob here. I'm having a heck of a time doing that because I'm turning it the wrong way. Oh, good morning. I need more coffee. So you can turn that around. That can be cocked back, and you can actually pull that bolt back too. But I'm not going to try to do that one-handed because that would just end badly, I feel. Another thing that we did that changed from the Field Marshal version is he actually vented this section here for sound. So on the actual C96 Mauser, this is where the stock would attach to. So in the Field Marshal version, he milled out a small section here, so that way if you wanted to add sound effects, it would already be vented. I don't like having sound effects and things, so I said, hey, can we just kind of fill that in? So, we just filled that in using some plastic, actually, and got it in there, painted it up, and now you can't even tell that it ever happened. One kind of fun thing that we did. Hang on, I gotta put this down for a second. So another change that Field Marshal made was this section here, where you would normally load your clip in the actual C96. On the Denix, it's just like a solid door. You can't remove it. So he milled that out. So now you can remove that. But we went a step further and said, well, you know what? There has to be something kind of loaded in there, some sort of like energy cartridges. So we said, okay, here are the energy cartridges that would be loaded in Han's DL-44. So we loaded those in there, and it's just like one of those cool hidden things that you would never know was there unless you kind of pulled it apart. But that's it. Overall, I think the Field Marshal kit is absolutely fantastic. It's really nice that first he accurized the base prop, because there's sort of a lot a lot of crap talked about um, the Denix, and I know why. It's certainly not perfect, and the new version is better now that it no longer has the diamonds. But it's still not perfect looking. It has some pitting to it. When you compare it to an actual C96, the size is slightly different, but it's one of the better options that is readily available. So, he did a really good job making it look as accurate as possible, and then the parts that he supplies are excellent. Even the aluminum flash suppressor, it's still good. It looks identical to the steel one. I just wanted the steel one first off so that way it could be blued properly, but also just so that way it could add the weight. One thing though, one caveat to this is that it's labor intensive. So if you are looking for a DL-44, if you want something that's going to be made quickly, this isn't the kit. It's going to take a while, and it's going to take some dedication to get it done. I am fortunate that HaloX puts up with my crazy ideas and will help make the props for me, because it's not for novices. It requires a lot of bluing. It requires a reasonable amount of cleaning up to get it ready. But I think the end results kind of speak for themselves. It's I would say, from what I've seen, the best looking kit. You can get ready-made ones, and those are of varying quality. You can get ones that are, I think, mostly like plastic or 3D printed parts. You can get metal parts ones. I can't speak to those. I haven't held them in my hands. I have seen pictures of them. I have seen videos of them. And I don't think the finish is nearly as good. But to each their own. But that's it. That's my DL-44. I'm sorry it took so long, but life, man. So that's it. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks.